For decades, India has depended on imported aviation infrastructure. But today, the story is changing and changing fast. Right here in this facility, an Indian engineering company has built a passenger boarding bridge that will soon operate at a leading seaport in the USA. It's a Make in India milestone with a global statement of capability. We're at the Sparkline manufacturing plant where a factory acceptance test is underway. And joining us now is the man leading this transformation. Let's welcome Mr. Siddharth Doshi, CEO of Sparkline. And let's hear from him how exactly the Sparkline journey has been and what it takes to build world-class passenger boarding bridges. Thank you very much, Siddharth, for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
My first question to you, and let's dive straight into the heart of the conversation. Sparkline spent 3 decades in material handling before having dedicated lines of businesses like you have now for engineering solutions. How has the journey been so far?
Right, so if you look from my face, I mean, it's pretty obvious that I'm not 3 decades old. So it was started by my father in 1991. So he started as, without any background. So he started with after-sales services for welding machine and staying so close with Tata Motors, where we share a wall in Pune with them. I think that helped us to find out what kind of solution does the automotive industry need in terms of material handling. Because back then in 1990s, material handling was quite a new subject in general manufacturing or so on and so forth. So I think that's how it started back then, and a couple of years with Tata, finding out that they're coming up with an Indica line or coming up with another setup. They wanted some chain hoist, some conveyor, some robotic cell for some niche applications. I think that closeness with Tata helped us to go and collaborate with few partners which till today are our very key partners, like Sparkline Systems from Germany, Dalmac Manipulators from the UK, Tavi from Sweden, so on and so forth. And somewhere from 2008, when Tata's, Ashok Leyland's, Mahindra's, all of them started, the Indian market opened and everyone started manufacturing goods by themselves, either with a joint venture. And organized manufacturing started to take a shape, at least at a volume based manufacturing. I think till 2010 or 2015, there was a significant growth in multiple solutions which we did for very, very specific and niche clients across India for material handling. And when I joined in 2015, what me and my father both observed that we've done quite a lot, but it's difficult to put everything on a piece of a plate together in terms of our offering. So we then decided to perhaps have a line of business kind of a model. And I think we were very blessed with the kind of team who's worked with Sparkline, learned from the GET, and today more than half of our leadership team is someone who joined us as a GET and has grown with us. So it was perhaps a little easy for us to develop line of businesses within the organization, and it's been a fantastic story, especially the post-corona, the so-called China Plus One, and the India narrative built by the current government about Make in India initiatives, the incentives, skilling of labor. I think all of that has helped the world look at India in a different way, and the heavy infrastructure investment that the government is doing. I think that also helps to position India in terms of a manufacturing upcoming or the place to be. So it's been a quite rewarding journey, and the best part has been the people that we work with, the clients we work with, the vendors we work with. So I think the whole ecosystem has been very enjoyable.
That's quite, par for the course, having that kind of a journey, working with some notable names on the globe, and the lines of business that have developed thus far. Let's now sort of zoom into one line of business. You have a dedicated one for aviation. What exactly convinced you that India, and by that extension your team, were ready for building world-class passenger boarding bridges?
I think everything that happens to you for the first time is perhaps not something that you have planned. Back in 21, we have a client based out of Pune who have a plant in Chakan. The sister company based out of Europe, they won some tenders with Airport Authority to supply some passenger boarding bridges. And up till then, almost all the passenger boarding bridges that have come to India were either from the neighboring countries or the Europe or the US, or the developed economies. Perhaps this was the first time, because of the corona-related logistics crisis, manufacturing, labor, perhaps the organization felt it's not feasible for them to manufacture in a place. Plus, the Make in India initiative of the government was known to these European companies, and them having a plant in India for a different vertical that they do. They approached the Pune company that can you name 2 or 3 good companies who can help us make in India. And I think we were fortunate that our name was provided, and they gave us some proof of concept or few projects to deliver within a time and a quality and a cost. And I think we were quite successful in that, and that's where the journey started. So it's been now 5 years, and we have been blessed to manufacture almost 86 passenger boarding bridges and counting. And you're here today to witness a FAT, a factory acceptance test for one which would go to North America. So it's been a nice journey, and there's nothing that prepares you, but I think once the opportunity comes and a 3 decade of expertise in welding, in assembly, in processes, I think that did help. Plus being in Pune, where you have a good vendor base nearby, and the relationship with those vendors of 3 decades, I think that allowed us to demand more from our vendors in terms of what kind of machining support we need, and perhaps similar the employees that we have and the culture that we have. I think people were quite welcoming with this new product development, which was extremely hard. It took months of 20 hours a day kind of a work in Chakan. Gradually we could build fixtures and we could de-skill the job, and that's where we are today now.
It's been quite fabulous as we are seeing on the shop floor and how everything is getting prepped for, the final outcome there.
Yeah.
For a leading seaport in the US, like you mentioned, to trust an Indian manufactured aero bridge, Sparkline had to meet global aviation grade engineering, safety, reliability standards. Of course. What did it take to build the level of capability here in India?
Now when we look back, it does feel like some kind of an achievement, but when we were in the journey of it, I think we were just doing what we felt right in terms of, we trained our people overseas. We have our own line of business, which is automation, which builds fixture for a lot of clients in India for their welding or assembly. So we have an in-house understanding of if something needs to be manufactured or assembled, what's the most simplified way where you don't make the obvious mistakes and you do it first time right. An internal team was formed who built the entire processes in-house for us, and as we took one or the other step, we were also guided by very good clients who told us that now since you've achieved this kind of capability, why don't you get it certified also by global agencies. And that's how we got certified by the IS or by the DIN standards, that this kind of welding, this kind of assembly, this kind of testing, your plant is certified to do. I think a lot of help from clients and the in-house knowledge of 3 decades, and what perhaps the managing director who continues to operate. I think all that guidance really helped us to build. So looking back, it feels that that we were on a journey, but when we were on it, perhaps it was just what do I do today to become better at what I should be doing.
And that's a lovely sentiment to grow with. We've spoken about the capabilities. Let's now focus on to the other side of the coin, where the complexities come. High-tech aviation manufacturing is not just about machines. It's about talent, research and development, and a resilient Indian supply chain system. How exactly did you build the ecosystem needed to make something as complex as a passenger boarding bridge entirely in India?
So when we started, we didn't start with complete make in India. We started with more than 51% make in India, and I'll not get into specifics, but it was more than 51%, and there were few equipments like glass which we had to buy from France because India was not a market for them yet. So since the passenger boarding bridge was being done in India for the first time, a lot of supply chain was not available in India itself. It was still reliant on Europe or some other countries. It took us almost 2 years to help make business case to get these vendors to bring those products from the Indian subsidiaries. It did take us 2 years, but then after 2 years, I think they saw merit. Also the investments that the government is doing, which is Airports Authority of India or Adani. We recently saw Navi Mumbai being inaugurated, Pune Airport. There are almost 150 or 160 airports which are coming up by 2047 as per the mandate of Airports Authority of India and government aviation. So I think that narrative also helped, plus the execution that the government did on airports allowed us to build on a local supply chain and completely localize the product. Number one. Number two, when we look at in-house, the biggest difficulty was for the people talent. So although Make in India really helps improve the number of employees or increases the labor and employment in India, but the another difference we saw, that because of the skill gap, and it was so hard for us to explain to our partners overseas that if it takes one welder to do a work in a day, it perhaps takes us 2 or 3 welders to accomplish the same kind of work because of the skill, the training, the setups, the tools, and the overall experience that comes with it. So that I think took 1.5 years for us to keep simplifying the jobs with the right fixtures, the tools, the process, and continuous training. I feel again that that relationship of 3 decades with key vendors and key suppliers, I think they really invested with us. They believed that we would get returns on this investment, and that's how it helped. But it was challenging for the first 2 years to build the whole supply chain in India.
And then you covered all these years and you've come forward, and the entire bridge here today in the facility. What are the crucial parameters that they will be validating for the PBB?
So there are two types of tests. One is when we are manufacturing it. First of all, it's a traceability, that where the material has come from, what's the heat number, what's the chemical composition, to the right welding, the tests of welding. Then when you assemble things. Today, when you look at an FAT, the client is going to test multiple things. For example, a shower test, because these passenger boarding bridges are out on the airport, in the naked environment. So there's all set of heat, rains and storms they have to face. So we can make those same simulations in practice over here. But what we do is we have some shower tests where they see the leakages are happening or not. For the air conditioners, the complete movement or whatever is required as per the drawings, up, down, left, right, the rotation of the passenger boarding bridges. Most of us have traveled on an airport, so we know that when a flight lands, so the passenger boarding bridge or the aero bridges to come and connect. So how is it connecting? The safety, it shouldn't dash or it shouldn't leave a gap so that it could cause a safety. So there's a lot of mechanical and also electrical in terms of safety that is being checked. So more than 45 parameters are there which gets checked, and perhaps it takes 2 or 3 days. And then after this, you would get a dispatch clearance. And 3 years back, we started working with a logistic company in Pune to build. It's a huge, massive passenger, and we completely assemble and dispatch it. So we don't dismantle it. So the kind of packing it takes from, let's say, from here to go to South America or to go to Middle East or even within India, the roads and the rains, the traffic, all these aspects. So we need to pack it, logistic it in a certain way that it reaches without any corrosion. So it also has a packing test. So the testing begins from the inward of material, the cutting, the assembly and the final testing, and also the packing until it reaches the site. So there's a lot of testing that goes through.
That's quite, thorough. And the number of tests that you mentioned, as a passenger, I feel very safe in knowing that that's the amount of testing that's done on every single bridge before it makes it, to the destination where it's live for people to use. That's fantastic. With about 86 of these passenger boarding bridges already built in India in your facility, what does this milestone mean for Sparkline and the broader Make in India story?
Again, it's something we started with, servicing a client, then we had more than a client, and in manufacturing, if you do something right, I think it speaks for yourself, it speaks for itself, and then you don't necessarily have to go and acquire business does actually come to you. So that's the phase we're in right now. The current facility we have a capability of manufacturing roughly 4 bridges a month. We started with 1 bridge a month and ramped up to 4, but that's where the capacity constraint is. So we are putting up a significantly larger plant near Pune, which is going to come up in next couple of months, and we would have 4 times the manufacturing capacity over there. So that's number 1. Number 2, we also feel that the Indian clients, who are the airport operators, I think they themselves do have a sense of pride that they're still being serviced by not necessarily an Indian vendor, but they know that the complete manufacturing is done in India, the supply chain is in India, and the support system is available local in India. So I think, we have recently seen that airport operators being interested to be aware of the complete situation, and they actually promote today that the Make in India should work, and if Sparkline has been able to deliver, let's say, passenger boarding bridge, why can't an XYZ, which is also currently bought by airports from overseas, why can't that now be also locally done? So I think that's what's given the aviation sector more of a moral that if such a complex, and passenger boarding bridge or aero bridge is the most complex from people's safety point of view, because it's day in day out, people will come in, get out, and if something of this complex can be made in India, why can't other things be made? So we see the whole industry perhaps now looking at India, and all the other players looking at India as a market where they can actually come and localize and get the same quality with the same safety that they would get from their own plants overseas.
Quite fantastic. My final question to you on this conversation: what comes next for Sparkline?
We are an organization who has long-term plans, but then we like to see how things are going. We are working very closely with our partners. We have a very good business opportunity. We want to continue in this way, and as further opportunities improve for the organization, we would want to take. We currently have 4 line of businesses which we spoke about. One is the cranes. It is now more or less doing extremely well. We continue to grow. We have a fantastic partner with Alpine Systems over there. The automation is doing very well. We are doing India's leading projects, whether it's helping Mahindra with the B6, B9 manufacturing, or the upcoming JSW plant in Aurangabad, and now the aviation after sale, and of course the after sales service and the ancillary business. But we think that in India, if you have the right process, if you have the right people, if you have the right cash flow, I think growth is absolutely sky's the limit. Any leader I meet today in the industry, all of them say sky's the limit. But you need to get these fundamentals right, and I think that's where we are. We are a sweet spot right now. So we see a good opportunity to grow in upcoming time and contribute.
Well, I totally concur with that assertion that yes, you have to get your fundamentals right, and once you have them right, sky is the limit.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for making the bridge that takes us to the sky.
Thank you so much. Thank you for today.
From material handling systems in Indian factories to high precision passenger boarding bridges headed to the United States, Sparkline's journey is more than a business story. It is proof that Indian engineering can compete, deliver, and lead on the world stage. As this bridge leaves the shop floor and begins its journey to the US, it carries more than steel and electronics. It carries the ambition of a nation that's building for the world.